Obviously, Omar had a big game. Excuse me, had a big game on Saturday. Redshirted last year. Just, I guess, kind of talk about his development. What have you seen from him, and where has he gotten better, and where you guys feel comfortable putting him out there, and obviously feeding him the ball as much as you can?
Well, I think the biggest thing is just number one, the growth that you're going to make, from a freshman year to, even though he still is a redshirt freshman, but from freshman year to a sophomore year, he's made an unbelievable amount of growth. And then he just did a great job capitalizing when his number was called. He had some depth issues. He had to play a lot more, and made plays. And that's what you got to do. Everybody's going to get an opportunity at some point, and are you prepared when it happens? And he definitely was.
Tom obviously talked a lot about, the quarterback decision and how you guys came to it. But just from your perspective, was there anything you saw on film specifically from Taven that from this week that kind of set him apart? How do you kind of come to this decision?
At the end of the day, you got two really good football players, and you got to get in a room and you got to figure out who the guy is that you're going to give the chance to. They're both really talented. It would not surprise me if both of them don't have a career after college at some point, and however that happens, whether it be draftable or free agent. They're both really talented young players, and it was a decision that we came to, and we're excited to move forward.
Talked a lot Friday night with Allen about kind of the comfort and the rhythm that he saw the offense get into. Looking back on film, evaluating it now, how do you feel that the offense was in that regard to kind of just establishing a flow and then staying in that?
We played better. There's still plenty to clean up. We're nowhere near close to perfect. We still left a lot of, at the end of the day, we left a lot of routine plays on the field. And that's the hard part. When I say routine plays, I don't necessarily mean throws and catches. I just mean routine blocks, routine runs. We still weren't at our best. And so, again, it's another great challenge for us this week moving forward, to go be the best version of ourselves. I think in terms of an offensive rhythm, I think from week 1 to week 2, I think Ohio State probably would have had something to do with that. The one thing I will say about Indiana State, going back to last week, is just how hard they played, how well prepared they were. They had a great plan. Coach Mallory, I've got an unbelievable amount of respect for him and their program. But at the same time, from week 1 to week 2, Ohio State had a lot to do with us not looking in rhythm in game 1. So, but no, both those kids did a good job, and let's go get the next one.
Yeah, with Taven, I guess, what's the biggest area of growth you've seen with him since he joined the program, back in the winter, and where do you want to see him keep improving?
I think number one, system knowledge. A great example would be, you call something, he's at a point now where he can start to see it in his brain, and I think just that for a young quarterback, that's the biggest thing, is just the comfort and the growth that you have within the system. So just overall system knowledge, I would say, is probably where he's improved the most, which you expect a young or a new player, to do. Moving forward, I think it's just going to be, commanding the offense, taking care of the football, doing his job at a high level as opposed to having to make every play, and ball security, all the same boring fundamental things that you guys get tired of us saying. That's what it's going to take for him to, keep playing good football.
Well, when it comes to the running backs, you've had 2 games that have been called 2 very different ways because of opponent and because of game situation, and yet you look at the carries and the receptions out of the backs, you could expect to catch passes, and it's relatively balanced. Do you feel like these 2 games have demonstrated the sweet spot that you want to get to and how you use the 3 main guys?
We've got to be able to do whatever we have to do to win a football game. Whether it be the NFL and college, you got to find out where you can win, what your matchups are, who can block who can't block who can win versus who can't win versus who. And so, last week was a really good plan for them. And then moving forward, whatever it takes for us to have a chance to win the football game, whether it's play fast, whether it's play slow, whether it's throw it, whether it's run it, whether there's an option element to it, no option, like whatever we have to do to win a football game. And so that's what we're doing right now, getting ready to go win the next one.
Yeah, Coach said that, you guys brought both of them in to tell them, Brandon and Taven at the same time, kind of wanted the message crystal clear. Were you part of that kind of process, kind of how that unfolded?
I was in the room in that meeting, but, that's Coach Allen's time.
And
I understand the chain of command.
Did you come, when you walked off the field Saturday, did you feel like you were leaning in one direction, or did you really have to sit down and kind of review the film as well?
No, I mean, the film was a huge part of it. It always is. Nothing. Anytime you come off the football field, whether it's practice or a game, it's never as good as you think it is. It's never as bad as you think it is. Because I think there was a point in the game where one of them was like 10 of 11 and the other one was 8 of 9. Brennan had a great 2-minute drive. We had a good start. Part of that good start, Brennan had to come off the bench, ripped an unbelievable ball on a second long. And so the film was definitely much more of a part of it than a gut feeling. But, got together, made a choice, time to move forward.
Ask Coach Allen something similar, but with Taven specifically, have you seen anything different from him when he's gotten into game action? Quarterbacks can be limited in certain ways in terms of contact and just how fast the game can move for them in practice. Have you seen things change in him as a quarterback since you've been able to get him into game situations the last 2 years?
No, I mean, I think the biggest positive you draw from it is for a taller, basketballish build, for a lankier build, he is a good runner, and he's a physical runner. I think, that to go along with his other skills, I think that's the biggest thing, because you never know. You see people's feet get on fire. You see people all of a sudden make poor pocket management decisions when there's live bullets, and we haven't seen much of that. So just proud of him and ready to get going.
Walt, over here, the physicality that Josh Henderson ran with, as hard as he runs, what's your thoughts on him and the way he ran, and what's his potential the rest of this year?
Yeah, I think specifically to Josh, and again, Josh will come up here and he'll tell you the same thing. There's a couple things that, he didn't do great, in terms of some patience in a run game. But unbelievable kid, unbelievable worker, smart. You're going to get his best every single day, every single practice, every single meeting. And so to see a guy that does everything just right, have great success, that's what football's about. I think that's one of the things that he does bring us is he can level off runs and finish runs, and run physical. The other thing is he can catch the ball well in the backfield. Really soft hands, good pass protector, and so he gives us a really steady hand. But we've got a good room of backs. Christian Turner's a really good player. He was a little limited last week in terms of pitch count, but he's a really good player. Between J. Lou and Christian and Josh and Trent Howland, we feel pretty good about that position.
Well, tell us a little bit about what you see in Louisville's defense and what do you expect, or what kind of a defense are they, number one, and number two, what concerns you most about them?
All right. From a schematic standpoint, it is, Purdue's defensive staff from a year ago, so we're pretty familiar with them. They will present multiple fronts. There'll be some 4 down. There'll be some, odd spacing or some zero nose. In the back end of the defense, there's some quarters presentations, some man presentations, some rotational thirds, so they're it's not a ton, but it's enough to make you work and prepare. I think they run around really well. Now we're kind of past the X and O's. I think they run around really well. I think their field defensive end is a really good player. Backers are runner hitters. Both safeties, rangy, physical. And I think both corners are good players as well, so it'll be a great challenge for us, and I've got great respect for those guys. They'll be prepared, they'll play hard, they'll play the game the right way, so it'll be a great matchup.
Now that you have a starting quarterback named, how are you going to change maybe creating the game plan this week now that there's a bona fide guy that you can lean on to his strengths?
Yeah, well, there's 2 parts to that. Number one, in the first 2, they're so similar from a skill set standpoint that was the luxury that we had, was you really didn't have to build 2 specific game plans. But moving forward at the same time, you do want to play to those guys' strengths and what they have confidence in, what they feel like they do well. That's always going to kind of go to the forefront when you're having to make the difficult decisions. Are we running 4 verticals or curl flat? Well, he likes this better. Well, then let's do that. Because again, if the quarterback plays well, the offense typically has a chance to play well, and so just making sure that we're keeping him in a position that he's comfortable, he's doing the things that he's good at, and we're not putting him in a position, to fail. and that's our job as an offensive staff. All right, thank you guys.